There is really good research about CBD, and why it works in so many areas is the endocannabinoid system. We have this endocannabinoid system to modulate everything. It's a communication system among our hormones, our immune system, our brain, our skin, our gut. Everything is connected through the endocannabinoid system. And the whole goal of the endocannabinoid system is to relax us, protect us, keep us safe, and keep us de-stressed. CBD reinforces the endocannabinoid system. A lot of people have a low endocannabinoid system. Those are the people who are depressed, have migraines, are anxious, tend to have inflammation, tend to develop autoimmune disease. All of these things, when their endocannabinoid system gets filled back up, their symptoms can be relieved. That's why CBD works so well.
You're listening to Cleanse, Heal, Ignite podcast, and I'm your hostess, Diane Kaiser, functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, former pro soccer player, transformational leader, holistic healer, and life purpose coach, helping you and your business awaken to your full potential. We are a transformation tribe of visionaries empowering passion-quenching, heart-centered advice to wellness warrior leaders on self-love, nutrition, mindset, and divorcing perfectionism. Our mission is to help you laugh your way to a sexy belly, love your way to vitality, and live your life with purpose by sharing real talk and truth drops that will help you cleanse your body, heal your hormones, and ignite your life. Side effects of this podcast may include all-day energy, happy hormones, perfect poops, increased confidence, becoming your own best healer, and catching the self-love virus. There's currently no vaccination to protect you from this and no known cure. In most cases, listeners experience a strong desire to accept new challenges, ditch toxic people, follow their heart, and dance like no one's watching. If you experience moods happier than usual, live it unapologetically and share with your social media friends immediately.
Okay, warriors, real talk. I've had it up to here with people taking prescription medications to numb out their emotions. You deserve better than that, don't you? It's like your inner child is trying to speak to you and you're putting it in the corner and telling it to shut up. There's a reason you feel the things that you do, and it is an inner calling for you to transcend it. But you can only do that when you stop traumatizing it. So today I'm going to talk with a doctor who used to work with people prescribing these types of medications until she realized that they weren't working. They don't, they never will, and they never have. There's something called placebo. We're going to talk about that. For some people, they may absolutely need it for the rest of their life. I don't doubt that. But for the large percentage and the majority, taking medications like benzodiazepines, antidepressants, anti-anxieties, and any kind of mood-altering medications are really a death sentence that will kill parts of you that are really trying to wake up so they can rise you up. So Dr. Hyla Cass is one of my very, very dear friends, and she's known for helping individuals overcome anxiety, depression, and more, free of medication, including specific natural supplements such as hemp and CBD. We're going to talk a lot about CBD today, but first we're going to talk about the very basics and getting back to the core fundamentals of wellness. It's like a dinosaur. It's missing in today's industry. And that's why I do this podcast every single week for you guys so that you can find it again. The basics of connecting to Mother Earth and connecting to yourself and to God and your soul in ways that help to calm inflammation instead of igniting it and causing inflammation in your brain that destroy your mood. So Dr. Hyla has been on a lot of different TV shows, national print and radio. She educates and speaks to both medical audiences and the public. She's also the author of several popular books, including Supplement Your Prescription, Natural Highs, 8 Weeks to Vibrant Health, The Addicted Brain, and How to Break Free, plus Your Amazing Itty Bitty Guide to Cannabis. So her mission is, despite her ability to write medication prescriptions, her mission is to educate people about how to best bring balance to their bodies and brains using natural methods. So I reached out to Hyla because I have worked with so many women who had a very difficult time. In fact, some of them experiencing suicidal thoughts and ideations, getting off of their medications, such as benzodiazepines and antidepressants. These things destroy your body, and it's very difficult to get off of them. However, I understand for some of you, they have represented a bridge to get you from the place where you felt like you had no place to turn and you're in a place of despair to a place where you finally felt like you can cope again. So I do want to point out, because we do talk about CBD in this podcast, we did forget to point something out, and Hyla wanted me to mention this to all of you, is that she does not recommend that you do isolate at all. So many popular CBDs out there are CBD isolates. You will, in order for the CBD to actually work, need other cannabinoids and terpenes. So you can make a product with isolate base, then add in those other ingredients so you have the best of both worlds, but that takes a lot of chemistry to understand, and you have to be an alchemist to truly get that and to know what to buy, where to buy it, the dosages, etc. So the kind that I'm going to recommend to you is THC free, but you can also choose the other synergistic ingredients for a much more effective product. The CBD that I recommend is Hyla's brand. So I have a very special coupon code for you guys for 15% off. You can either go to cleansehealignite.com to go directly to this. If you're driving later on, you forgot the code and you want to get it, just go to cleansehealignite.com and you can listen to this episode and also find the links. And once you get to her page, you just click on shop, and any of the products there, add them to your cart, you'll get 15% off using Warrior 15. Let's dive into CBD and how it can support your life so that you know exactly which one to use, how much to take, for who to take, and all the other questions in between, because not all CBD products are treated alike. They are everywhere at this point. They're in hair products, food products, dog food products, and you definitely want to make sure you get the highest quality so you're not wasting your money on stuff that does not work. Here we go. Hey, beauty warriors. Welcome back to another episode of the Cleanse, Heal, Ignite podcast. I am at my house in Sedona today, filming with one of my sisters, my soul sisters, Dr. Hyla Cass. And we have some really fun aloha memories that I'll share from January, which is where we started talking about this. CBD, we're going to talk about pain today. We're going to talk about anti-inflammatories and how to reduce your pain. And this is what I like to say, I've been playing with this rhyme lately, is that CBD is a really big powerhouse to help you with your body pain, broken brain, weight gain, and energy drain. So it's one of those things that people are seeing all over the place. Like, it's in dog food now, it's in hair products, it's just like everywhere. And it's just like buying a car. They're not all alike. You can't say, oh, I drive a car and you know the quality is going to be totally different. So today I want to help you out with many of those things, but first I'd like to introduce you to Hyla. She's such a sweet woman, and she's on the other side of this, and she's tuning in from Los Angeles today, right, Hyla?
I am, yes.
Yeah, with a perfectly cleaned living room behind her. So welcome to the show, Hyla, and I really want to dive into your past, because we were talking on the balcony in Hawaii when we were in Maui this January, and I got to learn a lot about your why. And I think it's so important, you know, when people decide to listen to the rest of a show, they're like, who is this person? And what is she about? And why is she so passionate about what she's here to share? So you have a past where you were helping people with their broken brain. You were helping people with depression, anxiety, and all sorts of things. What kind of practice were you in, and for how long?
Well, I've always been a psychiatrist. I did my residency in psychiatry. And during the residency, I actually was turned on to a more holistic approach. And that was because I was studying child and family. And somehow in there, because it's systems, I began to look at not only the system of the family system, but the system of us, mind, body, spirit. And how everything influences everything else, everyone influences everyone else. So, introduction to systems. Then I also began to note that psychiatric medications, which were, you know, I trained quite a while ago, and there weren't the number of psych meds that there are now, but that they had a lot of side effects. They didn't always work, and that I actually did well giving sessions of psychotherapy. I mean, psychotherapy worked very well, and I was trained to do psychotherapy. So that was good. I think psychiatrists now are pretty much just trained to prescribe medication. That's kind of their job, which is too bad, because the old ones had side effects. Well, the new ones have side effects, and maybe even worse side effects. So it made me want to pursue a simpler form, a more natural form of treatment.
What kind of conditions were you helping people with, Hyla? Was it even things like, right now we have what's very concerning for me, is benzodiazepines and sleep medications and the side effects of them. They are very, very frightening. Like I've even had friends that say they took an ambient and maybe it was a couple, and sometimes combining it with alcohol when it says that you're not supposed to, but humans do human things. And they don't remember that they attempted a suicide, or they don't remember what they texted a friend or called and said to a friend. Or like Randy Travis, one of my favorite country artists, was taking sleep medications and was found on the side of the road naked and went to prison for exposure. And these are things that they're not bad people. I don't feel like people are bad people. They're just trying to get through life, but they're being prescribed these things that are so dangerous. So
Yeah.
were you seeing some of these things in your practice? Like,
I think the bad thing is that the doctors are prescribing these medications without any warning, that they're highly addictive, that they're only meant to be used short term. There are side effects, including shortening your lifespan, for heaven's sake.
ugh,
Benzodiazepines are shown to, for any period of time, taking benzos will shorten your lifespan, average of 10 years.
wow. For how
And then,
long? How long, taking them for just a couple
and not
months
not
or?
that long. Apparently, even for a short time. Um, and it also is a cause of accidents. I mean, you can take a benzo one day and the next day be in an accident that's due to that benzo still clouding your ability to perceive and react.
Yeah. That medication has been one that, behind the scenes, I help a lot of clients with medications, like helping them clear the root causes, like you are doing now, for why they might have needed a medication to begin with. And it might have been an event in their life, or it might have been that they were toxic chemically or physically, or one of those things, but they didn't know what else to do. They were desperate. They were given a benzo, and that usually comes with this whole concoction of sleep medication, benzodiazepine, then you have a thyroid issue, then you have an autoimmune problem, and before you know it, you're like on 5 medications. So
Yeah.
these
I
are sort
mean,
of the warning signs that I think that we need to talk about, right?
yeah, I think we need to start with what you and I do, which
Yeah,
is we look for root cause.
right.
So if somebody's having anxiety, they don't have a Valium deficiency or a Klonopin deficiency. If they have anxiety, they can have a thyroid problem, some other kind of hormonal imbalance, toxicity, infection. So many underlying causes, leaky gut, on and on. And it's our job as clinicians to look under the hood, like a good mechanic. A good mechanic does not cover over the red light on your dashboard and say, okay, lady, you're fine. You don't
Hmm.
see it. No, a good mechanic will look under the hood and diagnose. Okay, look for the root cause. Why is that red light going on? Why are you having, and our red lights are anxiety, depression, fatigue, even bipolar illness, even psychosis. I mean, I've had people that are blatantly psychotic, and when they went off gluten, because that was the trigger, when they went off gluten, they stopped being psychotic. And when they went back on gluten, they would be psychotic again. So there you go.
Yeah, it's a how these chemicals interact in our body today. People don't even think about. They think gluten is this fad sometimes even, and I think there's a ton of research, and you guys can listen to my other podcast about gluten and why it's so disastrous and destructive for our bodies and it's causing disease. Is it's sprayed with glyphosate, which is Roundup, which is Agent Orange used, and it's been in a lot of wars to hurt the troops. And these are things that are in our food supply. So it's not just a food from Mother Nature that we're randomly reacting to. This is a chemical issue inside of the body. And I've even recently had, just recently, just two of my clients, and I said, let's just start with this one thing. And we took them off of gluten, and within one of them, within a month, lost 20 pounds. And he was the one I was talking about who was on Ambient and couldn't remember how he had attempted a suicide.
Wow.
And I took him off gluten, and he was like, I have now been able to access parts of my brain that I haven't for a long time, and access memories, traumatic memories from when he was a young boy, and is finally able to get to that root cause. So and another client lost 15 pounds in 2 months just by removing gluten. So it's not just one thing. Like Hyla's not saying it's just this one thing, but there's a lot of moving pieces to this. So when we're talking about how you were trained and how you used to do it, Hyla, what were some of the things that for you was like your wake up call where you said, I can't continue to do this anymore? Was there like a story or a patient that you were working with?
Actually not. That's funny because I never bought the company line, but that's me because I've always thought outside the box. In fact, when I went to medical school, there were very few women going to medical school. It was a long time ago. Now I think half the classes are female. But I've always been different. I always thought differently. And what I've done is follow my curiosity and followed my intuition. And I just saw medications were not working, psychotherapy was working, and I began just reading and listening, noticing, for example, blood sugar issues, and the people were eating sugar, it affected their mood. And when they dropped sugar, their mood stabilized. So that was the beginning, looking at sugar, just that simple. Then I was looking at gluten. Then I began studying people like Abram Hoffer, who was treating schizophrenia with very high doses of niacin and vitamin C, which sounds like, what, vitamins for schizophrenia? That's wild. But it made a lot of scientific sense. So the American Psychiatric Association disagreed with him because they were on the side of the pharmaceutical industry, of course. And that's, to this day, the way it is.
Yeah. So
that's unfortunate. But more and more there were organizations like ACAM, like International Schizophrenia Society. Many different organizations have grown up now, IFM, that teach this root cause approach, very organized approach to all illness. And that brings up the other point. You don't have to be a psychiatrist to treat mental illness because those are just symptoms of a body disorder. And it's generally inflammation somewhere in the body. And the psychiatric symptom is just a sign. It's a message from your body saying something's out of whack.
Yeah, so that's so important, is when something is out of whack, that if you continue to get medications to cover up that symptom, you're just pushing yourself that much farther away from ever addressing it. And then it just never gets better. And I mean, for some people, medication can help resolve it temporarily. I mean, some Hyla, if they're addressing these underlying key root stressors, which we'll talk about, which are causing inflammation and how to manage inflammation. But if they're doing that at the same time, taking a medication, are there some medications that for some people just help them long-term? Or do you believe that we can address all of these psychiatric symptoms with these root cause issues?
Well, that's a really good question. And the research has shown that for example, the antidepressants are largely placebo effect in mild to moderate depression. And it's a placebo with side effects. So the person gets the side effects first and says, oh, the drug's working. And then they feel better. But the placebo group had the same result without the side effects. So the only group are the major depressive disorder that actually benefit from antidepressants. But from my point of view, I still say, even if it's a major depression, there are underlying root causes that we can address and make such a difference in a person's quality of life. Mm-hmm. Then they're working on all cylinders. If you're deficient in serotonin, which means you need some amino acids like tryptophan or 5-hydroxytryptophan, or if you're low in GABA, you need amino acids like GABA or taurine or theanine, and these will actually adjust your brain so that you don't have anxiety
Mm.
or you don't have depression. It just fills in the gaps. And then if there are issues like post-traumatic stress disorder or some sort of situational issue, then you can have psychotherapy. That's great, but you have a brain that can actually operate on all cylinders and do the therapy. Even with addiction, addiction's a big one. When we give people certain amino acids that will counteract the cravings, very quickly they will stop having the cravings, stop thinking about the alcohol, cocaine, meth, whatever it is, and begin to normalize. And they
Whoa.
don't have to white knuckle it.
Whoa. Okay. This is critical because right here, this is everybody at this point for the most part. We all have some kind of numbing device, so we're all binging on something, right? We're like binging on toxic beauty, or we're binging on TV, or binging on porn, we're binging on food, like whatever it is, we're just binging. And that's a way to distract ourselves from something that we're not really willing to face, or maybe a chemical imbalance. So sugar, gluten, alcohol, caffeine, these are all the things that most people that I've worked with as a nutritional therapist for 10 years, they're like, even the other day I was having a conversation about helping a woman detox, and she's like, I will never quit gluten all the way. Well, okay. Well, I'm thinking, is this a good time to talk to her about her amino acids? Is this maybe what's going on? So how does somebody know, like
This
if it's their amino acids?
This happened to me recently with one of my patients. She's saying, well, I can't. She said, oh, and I go back on gluten because I hadn't spoken to her for quite a few months. And she said, well, I'm back. I'm anxious. And I said, what about gluten? Oh, yeah, well, I've been eating it. And I just can't help myself. I said, okay, what I'm hearing is low endorphins, and you're using it for the gluteomorphin. You're getting a high. There's a high that you get from gluten because it produces a morphine-like substance. So I said, easy. We're going to give you an amino acid that will satisfy that urge. It will raise your endorphins, and you're not going to need gluten to raise your endorphins. And we did that. And people are just amazed at how quickly this can work.
Wow. I mean, that's, what is it? I don't even know the percentage of the population now that eats gluten. I mean, it's a huge percentage of our caloric intake.
Awful.
How does it get so bad? First of all, how are you determining, other than talking to them and asking them about their patterns, is there like a test that they take, or is there a questionnaire that they do to determine?
The questionnaire.
Yeah, that's the one that you sent me, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So they answer these questions, and based on how they score, it tells you they might be low in some of these amino acids, and they treat them from there.
Sure. If you're low in serotonin, if you're low in GABA, low in endorphins, needing blood sugar regulation, it's all there.
Wow. So if they're treating these amino acid deficiencies, then they potentially might not need the blood pressure medication, or the binging on the foods, or the medications to alter their mood in whatever way that is, high, up, down, sideways, or diagonal.
Right. And if they're already on medication, then that's another issue, because the medications have to be taken down fairly gradually. But the good news is, and this is that people have said, well, I've tried to get off my antidepressant before. I tried to get off the benzo before. It was hell. It was terrible.
Yeah.
When you get off them, first of all, gradually, but also with the help of certain nutritional supplements, it's so much easier, so much faster.
Mm-hmm. How did it get this bad, Hyla? I mean, amino acids we get them from our food, we get them from meats, we get them from plants. So we obviously have an epidemic of amino acid deficiency in some way. We weren't this way 50, even 100 years ago. So how did it get so prevalent?
Because we were eating real food in the old days, if you recall. We're now eating frankenfood. This isn't real food, and it's made to be addictive.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at all the snacky foods, all the prepared foods. I mean, if you eat, the standard American diet, you're in trouble.
Sad. It spells sad for a reason.
You're ingesting toxicity with every bite.
I spell it PHEUD because it's like faux food, and it's chemicals. I kind of just laugh when I go to certain grocery stores now because I just look around and I'm like, if I could just really truly speak into what all of these are. I was at Costco the other day, just like the gigantic size chemical boxes of what they're labeling as food. And I just see, well, there's a problem and there's the solution, which would be going to someone like you. Like, I don't understand why I have these mood issues, and suicide right now is on the rise more probably than ever. And so when we see all these things, is there certain amino acid deficiencies that plug into, let's say, depression? Like if you're low in this, and then most people will show as depressed. If you're low in this, they might show as anxious. If they're low in this, they might have more pain. Is there patterns?
Absolutely. Yeah. And that comes out in the questionnaire, and you can read it yourself. You get the questionnaire back and it's like, oh, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And then you know what to do, or you can seek professional help. There are facilitators or practitioners, nutritionists, and other kind of counselors who will do that, will help you to figure out your own program. And it's not that hard, and it happens fairly quickly. Now, the other part is nutrition, is diet, is macronutrients. It's not like, okay, you're going to pop some amino acids instead of popping Prozac. That's not the point. The point is to supply this body with optimum nutrition. And optimum nutrition comes from real food. And you and I know what real food is. And it's not what people are eating. I say shop the periphery of the supermarket, buy organic, and the big supermarkets have a really good organic produce department. And it's fresh. My local one does. I have several not too far from me where I can get good organic produce. Best, of course, is to grow your own.
Yeah, and here we are, especially this transition with some restrictions on even having seeds happening in the last 6 months to grow our own. So we're in a very, very interesting time. And what I hear you say, and I know you have patients like this too, Hyla, that say it's not enough to know what to do. It's also, the more important thing to know right now is, why are we not doing it? Like, we all know this, right? We all know we should eat more vegetables and, exercise more often and not snack so often. So when you see a lot of that, I am powerless to.
That's the addiction. Yeah.
The addiction. So that seems like it's the most prevalent.
It's the compulsion because things are missing. You're missing certain. It's very simple. You're missing certain nutrients. And we've known this for so long. I mean, Julia Ross wrote a book called The Craving Cure. And before that, she wrote The Mood Cure and the Diet Cure. There's an organization called the Alliance for Addiction Solutions that I'm a part of, in fact, one of the founders of, that gives information about this. So there are a lot of ways to find out more information. And I urge people to do that. And you offer a lot of information. So you have to detox. You have to get rid of the bad stuff. You need to put in the good stuff, good nutrients, healthy nutrients. Food is information. It tells the body what to do. And when we're feeding the body glyphosate and gluten and inflammatory foods and empty calorie foods, the information isn't there.
Yeah. And toxic beauty, which is my topic more so than anything, is that constant with breast implants. If a lot of women, and I do want to start getting to some of the solutions, because that is what I'm getting a lot today is my partner or myself, we're trying to modulate pain, or I want to get my breast implants out, or I got my breast implants out and I'm experiencing so much pain. But I don't want to take the medications that the doctor is giving me for pain that either someone has a reaction to, if it's Vicodin or hydrocodone or whatever the pain medication is a lot of people don't have positive reactions to them, or they're addicted to them and they are depleting other nutrients. So how can we start talking about solutions on modulating inflammation? Because sleep, pain, weight gain, and mood issues are the biggest things I want to talk about.
Sure.
How your solution, specifically your CBD, is one of the big ones, can start helping these people.
Absolutely. Well, first they need to detox before having their explant because you don't want to be dealing with a toxic body as well as being post-surgical. So, I mean, you know all that. So, and your followers know all that. But then, assuming you've done some detox beforehand, CBD has been really very, very useful for pain, for inflammation, for anxiety, for depression. It really kind of fits a lot of bills, and it sounds like it's a panacea. And people are wondering, hey, is this a fad? What is this? And, probably next year they're going to say it was all, fake and placebo. But here's the story. There is really good research about CBD, and why it works in so many areas is the endocannabinoid system. We have this endocannabinoid system to modulate everything. It's a communication system among our hormones, our immune system, our brain, our skin, our gut. Everything is connected through the endocannabinoid system. And the whole goal of the endocannabinoid system is to relax us, protect us, keep us safe, and keep us de-stressed. That's a really good system to have. And it's very sophisticated. And it works, there's CB1 receptors in the brain, the CB2 receptors in the rest of the body. And that's where CBD comes in. CBD reinforces the endocannabinoid system. A lot of people have a low endocannabinoid system. Those are the people who are depressed, have migraines, are anxious, tend to have inflammation, tend to develop autoimmune disease. All of these things, when their endocannabinoid system gets filled back up, their symptoms can be relieved. And that's why CBD works so well and so quickly. It even interfaces with the neurotransmitters. I said it goes to the CB1 receptor, which is in the brain, and it helps to modulate neurotransmitters. The neurotransmitters, serotonin, GABA, dopamine, which make us happy or make us calm. It's the things that are missing. So CBD helps to balance those neurotransmitters. It helps to balance hormones, balance the gut, balance inflammation. It interfaces with the immune system. So it's a wonderful interface and a wonderful system that it's fortunate that we finally have discovered CBD.
Yeah, it's like finding, I just got back from Egypt a couple of months ago, and I was there for 3 weeks. And it's like they said that in Egypt, especially in Valley of the Kings specifically, that 80% of the world's artifacts, the historical artifacts, have been found there. And it's almost like when you talk about CBD like this, it feels similar too. It's like this, we found this tomb, and then they found a whole, other line of other tombs and other kings and things, people who've been buried. And that's what I feel like with the CBD system and the cannabinoid system. It's that it has been this long lost system that within us, that wisdom has been buried. So now that it's starting to come to life, what are some of the ways that people can start to apply that? Because there's a lot of myths, there's a lot of misconceptions, misnomers about how to apply CBD into your life. Because I get people, they take it and they start taking it like they would a medication. They take it if they have pain versus taking it on a regular basis. So it's my understanding that doing it on a regular basis is where you're going to have that, like you said, filling it up to where it needs to be, because it's so deficient. So the quality matters. I know quality is really important. How much you use is important. Where you apply it to your body is important. How you administer it with or without food and other medications. So tell us all the things, Hyla. What's the best way to really get started? Yeah.
Well, it comes in, you can get them in capsules, sprays, tinctures, salves, creams, all kinds of delivery systems. And then you also in certain foods and drinks, but that's more dilute, and then in topical skin creams and so on. The way to dose it is regularly and start low and slow. Some people have said do a loading dose. Most of us are more cautious, start low, and wait till you get your target symptom relieved. And you can tell this is your dose. And then take that once or twice a day, probably twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day, depending on what's going on. And you asked a whole lot of questions. How to tell the quality? Well, part of it is how's it working for you? The other thing is, even before you buy it, is make sure you know what's in it and that there's a certificate of analysis that you can request, which will tell you if it's free of bad stuff like pesticides, herbicides, heavy metals, and that what's in it, that it has what's in it, but whatever's supposed to be in it, which is cannabidiol and maybe some other cannabinoids, because cannabidiol or CBD is just one, THC is another, and then there are terpenes. I'll get to THC, I'll come back to that. And then there are terpenes, and they're what give all herbal plants their particular aroma. You know, like lavender has a certain smell, lemon verbena smells kind of like lemon, and so on. And they have medicinal uses as well. So it's not just the CBD. In fact, CBD isolate is not preferable. It's better to have a full spectrum CBD that has more of those components. And some of it has THC in it. And if it's under 0.3%, it counts as, it can be sold as CBD. If it has over 0.3%, then you're getting into the THC category, and that you get from a dispensary. But the CBD you can get in stores, online, and so on. And just get it from a reputable source.
Yeah, and that's, my followers, they're pretty intelligent, very resourceful, and most of them have tried, CBD. Most of them have tried many different types, and I'm one of them. And that's why I wanted to bring you on, because when I tried your CBD, I went, whoa, there's a huge difference here. And I slept so deep. I mean, we were in Hawaii. So that was one part of it. We were in Aloha Land. But when I took it, there was a big difference, and it was automatic. It was, the CBDs I had tried before, and I had tried many, and I had tried all different doses as well. And I did it that one night, and I slept so much better. And I was like, what is your secret? Because I know that.
Isn't that funny? Because I also checked out a lot of different mixtures, and I had my manufacturer put this combination together, and I really hit just a good formula. Added beta caryophyllene, which is good for pain and anxiety. There's some terpenes in it, and right now I have it without THC. I'm also going to have a line that has a little THC that's under 0.3%. And there's some advantages to that, to have that slight amount of THC. On the other hand, if you're, say, military or doing police work, there's certain areas, certain professions where you get tested. And it's possible for it to accumulate even if it's less than 0.3%. So you're better off having THC-free product in that case. But it's not enough to get you high.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't want to get high, believe it or not. I for one, don't like getting high.
Me neither.
It's uncomfortable. And CBD, I found CBD just to be totally wonderful. I love it.
Yeah, my experience of it, the way, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this one, Hyla, because I'd like to help people have some structure, is I was taught that in order for CBD to really work, that it works like a garden, and that you're spreading seeds, and that you're watering them, you're growing them, and on a consistent basis. I've heard, take it for 90 days at least to get the full benefit. And then, like you said, I've never heard it said like you, so that's really awesome, which, as a reminder for listeners, if you didn't hear it the first time, what Hyla said is take it, and I want to talk to you about this, what a low dose means until you get to a higher dose that works for you. Take it up to the amount where you feel like your symptoms resolve and stay there. So can you give us a little more context there? Is this something that you should be taking on a daily basis? And what would be a low amount to start and then work up toward?
You can start with And there's different size bottles. You can buy a 500 milligram bottle. That's how much is in the whole bottle, not in a dropper full.
Mm-hmm.
So the way CBD is measured is it'll say the amount in the entire bottle. So you have to look on the side of the bottle to see how much is in each dose, which is usually 1 milliliter.
Mm.
So there's a 500 milligram bottle, 750. There's 1,000 milligram, 1,500 milligram, even 3,000 milligram bottles. And I say start low and slow and build up to what you find your dose is. A lot of people are underdosing and then they don't get the full benefit. And they say, oh, it doesn't work. But they just haven't reached the amount that they need for their particular symptoms. To raise their endocannabinoid system, they need a certain amount. And the other thing is that it actually, so people have taken it regularly, say for 90 days, and then they can gradually go down lower and maintain. So it's interesting how once you raise your endocannabinoid system, for a lot of people, and not everyone, you don't have to keep taking that amount anymore, and you can sort of titrate and take it then as needed.
So you're saying that once they get to this point where they're happy with it, they would stay at that level, that like dosage level, and then potentially they wouldn't need it every day, or they might not need as much and maybe still take it every day but take less of it.
Both are true.
Okay.
And it's something that I can't tell you what to do, because by that point you know what it does, you know how it reacts with your body, and you have a relationship with it. So you can tell what you need.
Yeah, I like that. So let's say, because most people today, they come and they're like, okay, I don't sleep very good. I feel like I have a little bit of insomnia. I have a lot of body pain. I've got stomach issues. I feel like my hormones, they're craving sugar or chocolate, carbs, whatever. Yeah, there's something. So they've got like 5 things, right? So they start CBD, and let's say one of the things is pretty much resolved, but not like all of them. And they're doing a lot of underlying things to support lifestyle at the same time too. So what would you say to that? Like if it's not just for pain relief, if it's other stuff too that they're looking to relieve, what would you say? Keep taking it at higher levels?
Keep taking it, yeah.
Okay. And what would be a good, like what is a fair amount? When you say people are underdosing, what does underdosing look like? Is it like a couple mils or milligrams? What does that look like?
It really depends. It's like, right, this is 500 milligrams.
Yeah, that's what I have in front of me.
We're
twins.
So 1 milliliter, which is a dropper, it's 1 squeeze. And you need to know not to squeeze and squeeze and squeeze till it's all the way to the top, because then it's going to drip all over and you will not be happy. I tell people, take 1 squeeze, that's a dose, and try it. A dose of the 500 milligram would be 8.3 milligrams. And it's approximate. You're not going to measure it. It's not exact. And if it's the 1,500 milligram bottle, then 1 squeeze is going to be 25 milligrams. So here you have 8.3 milligrams, you have 25 milligrams. So there's a spread there. And you'll be able to tell what you need. And you may not even think in terms of milligrams. You may think in terms of, I need a half a dropper of this or a quarter of a dropper of this. You really, after the first few times of using it, there's a kind of an ease with it. You figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And people might keep the bottle around for a while. Oh, I don't know if I should try it. And then they try and it's like, oh, I get it. Mm-hmm. And then they have a relationship with it and it works and they're happy. And it's great, with sugar cravings or alcohol cravings or anything. I found just taking some is going to help. Mm-hmm. And I also use the amino acids. Mm-hmm. But if you even haven't done the amino acids yet, it's a really good amino acid balancer. Mm. So whatever ones you have working in your body are going to be rebalanced by the CBD. Mm. By the way, we're calling it CBD, but really it's not. It's really hemp oil extract, because CBD is just CBD. It's just cannabidiol. But you really want to get a product that has other cannabinoids in it and terpenes. So you have what's called the entourage effect that works, all these ingredients work synergistically. They work together for a full effect.
Which is what yours is, right? So like
Yeah.
that's why yours probably works so well with me, even though I've tried 10 plus, maybe 10 to 15 types of CBD, is that I want people to hear this too. Like, oh, okay, I have CBD, check, I got this. So I know, CBD is a bioaccumulator, and so it can pull in toxins. So if it's not lab tested or certified approved, the way that you were talking about earlier, it could contain some toxins. And in fact, I've heard a lot of companies getting in trouble for that or shut down because they haven't done proper testing. So when someone says, I take a CBD, because there are so many out there and people are overwhelmed.
Yeah, it's become a commodity, and there are a lot of unscrupulous companies, a lot of really good ones too, and you have to pick and choose. You have to know who you're buying from. You need to see a certificate of analysis if you're not quite sure, and then you try it and see how it works. And I was so happy when mine came out and people were telling me just what you said. I mean, that made me really happy because, what did I know? I chose the best one I could find, but it turned out to be a really good hit. It was a hit.
Yeah, we all said it in the room. It wasn't just me. Well, the ladies. So when we're looking at this, you're saying that you have a perfect, like the combination that you felt was perfect for you. And you said it was terpenes, it was the CBD, and then what was the other one?
Beta-caryophyllene.
Beta-caryophyllene. And it says that which is a what?
It's a terpene. It's considered both a terpene and a cannabinoid. So it's kind of a bit of everything. And the extra beta-caryophyllene makes it a little more potent. It boosts its effect.
Okay. So for women out there who are also wondering about, we're starting to come to the end of this, people are talking about CBD for beauty, CBD for inflammation. I just think that it's something that everybody can take and benefit from. Am I wrong there? Or is there anybody who should not be taking CBD? Or at this point, are we all deficient in it, even our animals?
That's a good point. If somebody is really replete, they're eating really well and they're non-toxic and they're happy and they have no symptoms, there may be no reason to take it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have any kind of symptoms, any of the things we mentioned, also hormonal imbalances, thyroid, PMS, menopausal symptoms, all of those respond well to CBD because the endocannabinoid system is involved there as well. So and I don't want to say like everybody needs it. That's like we're all individuals. And some people think they don't need it, and then they try it and they know, wow, I had that shoulder tightness and it's gone. And they wouldn't have thought of it as a target symptom.
Mm-hmm.
So you take it for one issue and another one clears up.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fun to play with.
Yeah. And I'd like to talk a little bit more about that hormone and autoimmune component because for myself, I wrote the book Killer Breasts. And what we have researched in the science is that having breast implants can be a major autoimmune trigger for women, whether or not they have it in their genetic history, because it's a foreign invader in the body and it's bringing on a lot of inflammation in response to it. So women are being faced with, okay, should I remove my breast implants or can I just keep them and modulate the inflammation with CBD?
Sure.
So I'd love to talk about autoimmune disease and specifically breast implant illness, if you have anything to say about that.
Well, what's interesting about CBD is, and there is research to this effect, that it does help to modulate the immune system. So it not only is protecting you and balancing the imbalance of the immune system, which is what autoimmune disease is, but it'll also protect your immunity, say, to any kind of infection that you're confronted with. So it's a very interesting product in that it's a balancer. It's like an adaptogen. You know how we have adaptogens for stress? Well, it's a full body adaptogen. So it will adjust your immune system to wherever it needs to be.
Are you able to comment on anything regarding viruses, Hyla? On, you know, I know with COVID, there's this big mystery with what's really going on and how much viruses are playing a part in our illnesses. But immune system is a huge topic right now.
Immune
So,
system is really, really important, and it does boost the immune system. It also has been shown to be good for cytokine storm.
mm,
This is research. A good source of research is projectcbd.org, which you can add to your website,
hmm
projectcbd.org. Tremendous amount of information, all the latest research, and I refer to it as well. I have to be careful about what I put on my website because the regulatory, the rules are you can't make what's called a disease claim.
right,
So some of the things we're saying here, we have to be really cautious about saying that it does certain things.
right.
So
With the immune system, one thing that I've seen on a lot of my clients' reports and doing lab analysis, like such as their GI report, and I can see that their secretory IgA, which is a big gold standard for the quality of how someone's immune system is functioning in the mucosa. How does CBD interact with that in the mucosa to support the immune system? Like, what is the scientific, I would say the process that it uses to support that?
I don't know specifically. We just know that it does enhance immunity. It will
Okay.
raise your immunity, but it will also interface with autoimmunity to help to balance Th1, Th2 systems.
And the cytokine storm that you mentioned too, can you describe a little bit more about what that means to the audience so they can understand that? Because some people don't know that cytokine storms are potentially the root cause of their symptoms.
Yeah, it's part of the autoimmune response and when your body is overreacting. And so instead of just providing or producing some cytokines, which are protective, it overproduces. And that works against the body and it can be dangerous.
Yeah.
So it's been shown that CBD actually mitigates that.
That's one of my concerns with women who have removed their breast implants, because our immune system is in this state where it's been trying to protect us for so long to create a separation from the implants or push them out, because it's non-DNA, it's non-native to the body. And so our immune systems, what I've noticed in testing for a lot of these women that I've tested, including myself, is that the immune system, like you said, has gotten into this hypervigilant state where for so long it's been trying to fight, and then it wears out and it's exhausted. So even after removing the breast implants, women are still experiencing cytokine storms that can bring on symptoms that make them feel like they're suicidal, or they can't digest food, or they get sick often. And so they're still in this case where they're like, I just removed my breast implants, but I still am having symptoms. So it sounds like CBD in that case, it's not treating anything specifically, but we're talking about getting to the root of perhaps
Right.
why the system might be so hypervigilant.
Yeah, and that's actually a process that
Mm.
the body just has to get used to not having the implants, and that antibody response will come down, but the CBD should actually help to help that process along.
Mm. So it sounds like it might be a really good idea to consider, for my women who have breast implants, support before you even go into surgery by having CBD on hand, and to mitigate some of the inflammation before the surgery. And then afterwards, just continue to take it to support the immune system, and really just give the body whatever it needs. It's not like you're saying we're treating this one specific thing, but we're giving the body the ability to decide what to
It's
do with these
support.
cannabinoids. Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
supporting the immune system.
Yeah. So important. So important. I'd like to end with a success story, Hyla, of maybe a patient or two, or maybe a class of people that you can share, that maybe some people that you've worked with have noticed that felt like miracles to them, but really were just something that they slightly adjusted, maybe something in their lifestyle, and then added CBD, so we can give some hope to the listeners.
Um, so I'm thinking about a couple of cases just right off the top of my head. You caught me there. Um, but I had a young man who was very anxious, brought in by his mother, 20-year-old, didn't really want to see me, didn't want to be there at all, and kind of was looking around and he had been unable to sleep. He was addicted to pot and not doing well. So I said, would you be willing to try some CBD? Well, it doesn't work. I said, have you ever tried it? He said, no. I said, would you be willing to try it? And okay. So I took a dropper full and dropped it under his tongue, talked to his mother for a while, and then I came back to him and said, so how you feeling? And so instead of be looking up like that and not being there, he was right there. He said, oh, I really feel good. I haven't felt this good in so long. This is amazing. So that it was that simple. So what happened was his anxiety level came down. He was able to connect with me because without connecting with me, we had no future.
Totally.
His mother would have dragged him in, dragged him out, and that would have been the end of it. And we connected. So that was a good thing. So that's the power of CBD. Of course, we then had to do the work, but that was a very good start. Or another time, I had a friend. We were at a conference, and he had sciatica, and he wasn't going to be able to walk the floor. This was a big show, big floor, in a trade show, and I said, have you ever taken CBD? He said, no. So I gave him some, and I said, just take as much as you need to relieve your sciatica. So he did. Of course, I'm making a disease claim here, but there you go. So he had this pain, and it was relieved. And he was able to walk the floor. It was comfortable. And the point here is it doesn't cover over. It's not like it's covering over something that you're then doing damage. You worry about if you give, say, a narcotic to somebody for pain, and then they walk on a bad knee or a bad back, you can actually do damage. But in this case, what it does is it actually reduces the inflammation. That's how it's working, as well as reducing the perception of pain. So that was a good success story.
That's beautiful. And it's with inflammation being the root cause of 95% of disease today, it's a beautiful bridge. Like what I love about what you just said is it wasn't a lot of hype. That's what I love about you, is that you're not like, yeah, you're not like beating the CBD drum. Like everybody needs that. You need to take X number of a day. And if not, then you're screwed. And you're just being reasonable, and you're giving people hope. As I look up at the word hope on my wall, and that's what you did for that young boy. He was somewhere else and he didn't have hope, but a tiny dropper full got him to that point where okay, now I'm listening. Now I feel like I can trust you. And it wasn't like you said, go change a million things in their lifestyle. You said, let's just start with this. Maybe it won't hurt. And for some people, a dropper full might not be enough, and it might not be the same story that you're talking about here with Hyla. But I have seen a lot of similar things in my practice with CBD. And I really do believe that it's something, it's like a plant. It's a beautiful plant that we have not given enough credence to or respect to, or enough of a chance to really pull us out of some of these symptoms that we're experiencing. And like you said, it's the most important thing I think of all. You're taking something, but it is not covering something up. It is still empowering your body to find the problem and heal itself. And that's
Exactly.
this is why I brought you on, is that I want everybody to hear this and think, what else can I do that I can empower myself rather than disempower myself by covering up a symptom and telling it to shut up with a medication that has so many side effects that like you said, you may lose 10 years of your life. That's a long time. 10 years. I didn't even know that. Yikes. And that's not what they're telling us before we take the first pill, is it?
Yeah. So thank you. Really, I thank you for the opportunity to speak to your audience.
Mm.
Great interview. I really, really appreciated it and enjoyed our time together.
Me too, Hyla. And if anybody is listening and you feel any sense of hope from Hyla, I'm going to put her links below and how you can reach out to her, because this combined with amino acid therapy, combined with psychotherapy, these could all be things that you might need. That might be your trilogy. CBD might not be enough, but maybe a little bit of these extra things that Hyla's talking about could help her to customize it for you so that you can help yourself, which is what we want for you. So thank you again so much, Hyla, for being the woman who walked through her medical training and woke up out of the box and said, this is not it, because that takes a lot of courage and it takes a lot of heart to say, this might not be the right thing to do for me. And we need more of that in this world. So thank you for being a beacon of light and a beacon of CBD for us.
Thank you so much.
All right, warriors, tune into the next episode where we continue to talk about the root cause of disease, where you can empower yourself by cleansing, healing, and igniting your body and your entire life and all of those around you. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in to today's show. If this episode really tugged at your soul and you're ready to have your personal breakthrough, we would love to have a heart-to-heart with you to get you crystal clear on 3 things. What do you want? What's standing in your way? And how do we get you to your soul goal in the fastest time possible? Visit my site, dianekaiser.com/call to schedule your free 1-hour connection session with one of our warriors to map out exactly how you want to look, feel, and live. We've helped thousands of women warriors just like you all around the world free themselves from the symptoms and suffering they never thought possible. And you just might be our next success story. Talk soon.